Hey guys!
Hey guys!
We're back with another movie review. This time we're reviewing Star Wars: The Force Awakens. We just went and saw it last night. We wanted to wait an extra day to give it time to
sink in.
Yeah, to sink in, and also to give more people time to go see it.
Yes.
Because this video is going to contain spoilers, but not right away. We will warn you before we get to those. So feel free to watch until the spoiler warning, and then turn the video off if you haven't seen the movie yet. Alright, let's get started. First of all, the non-spoilery stuff. I know one thing a lot of people were concerned about when Disney took over Lucasfilm and said they were going to continue the Star Wars saga was that it would be Disney-fied. And this was very much not Disney-fied.
Yeah, no. It really felt like the original movies. Like,
yeah.
It had that vibe to it.
Yeah. All the way down to the score. Like, for me, the prequels, the music, the score from the prequels didn't really feel like Star Wars to me. All the way down to the music. Episode 7 felt like Star Wars.
Yeah. And just as you were watching it, it felt almost like it felt more like the original Star Wars did, in terms of like the look of the set, the real effects. Now there's a lot more real practical effects in this one than in the prequels. So like just watching it, you were like, oh yeah, this is Star Wars.
There was not a lot of green screen on this. At least not a lot of obvious green screen.
Yeah.
Which that was a big problem with the prequels, and that doesn't seem like it's going to be a problem at all for the new movies. Okay, moving on to cast performances. We'll go down all the way through each member of the main cast. We won't touch really on minor characters, and just give our thoughts about the performance in a non-spoilery way. Okay, for me, the highlight performance in Episode 7 was actually Oscar Isaac as Poe Dameron. I thought his performance was awesome, and I thought the character was really interesting. And that might be because we got his lineage in the comic book, The Shattered Empire. If you haven't read that, seriously, go read it. It's awesome.
For me, it was Daisy Ridley as Rey. I thought she did a phenomenal job. I absolutely loved Rey after this movie. I mean, you love her in the posters anyway, but after the movie, I was just blown away by this character.
And what's interesting is she did an interview in which she confessed that in the first few weeks of filming, J.J. Abrams called her acting cardboard, I think, or wooden, or something like that. And no, I don't see if that stuff all ended up on the cutting room floor if that was the case, because she did a very good job.
Yeah, it was fantastic.
John Boyega as Finn, another very good performance.
Yes. Of course, Harrison Ford as Han.
Yeah.
Of course, he did a great performance.
He stepped back into that role, and he was Han Solo.
Yeah.
Like, it just seems like, it still fits. It's like an old shoe that you can wear no matter how old you get, it still fits. Han Solo's like an old shoe. Wow. Harrison Ford's like an old shoe. All right, Carrie Fisher. You had some interesting thoughts on Carrie Fisher.
Yes, I thought, like, some of Carrie Fisher's, like, sometimes she was absolutely phenomenal. And then in other scenes, not so much. And it kind of makes me wonder if it has to do with, like, on days and off days. If when she has a good day, her performance, you can see that actress from the original movies. Like, you just see that actress coming through. And then you can tell when it wasn't as on for her that day.
Yeah. If you're not aware, Carrie Fisher is bipolar, and and I didn't really pick up on that. That was something that you picked up on. So even on her off days, she wasn't that off.
No, it's just maybe I was paying more attention because the whole time I was wondering how she was going to do in the film. Just from meeting her, I knew that sometimes she just has really off days, and I was wondering how that would translate onto the screen. So maybe I was kind of looking for it. I don't know.
Adam Driver's performance as Kylo, I can't really fault him for my opinion here, because I just didn't particularly care for the voice with the helmet on.
Yeah, I agree.
And finally, Domhnall Gleeson as General Hux. I loved this performance. He came off very pretentious Imperial, a lot like Admiral Piet did in the original trilogy. And I thought it was a great addition to the cast. Okay, overall score for the film, I would give it a 9.5 out of 10.
Yeah, I'm right there. 9.5 out of 10.
It was very good, not perfect, but darn close.
Yeah, it was very good.
In fact, we're going to go see it again tomorrow. We're taking Anna's parents. And my niece, actually, she's 12 years old. She has not seen she has seen Star Wars, but she was so young when she saw it, she doesn't remember it at all. So she wants to see it, but she wants to watch all 6 films before we go. So her mission is actually to marathon them over the next 2 days. And I'm supposed to take her to see it on Monday. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm
going to work.
I'm off all next week, so I'm going to go see it every day next week. Okay, spoilers are coming now, so if you haven't seen the movie yet and you want to avoid any spoilers, turn off the video now and come back later, and then participate in the conversation down in the comments. Okay, first things first, we got to mention the death of Han Solo. I was not surprised by that, but I was still very heartbroken.
Going into the movie, did not think Han was going to die. That was not one of my preconceived notions going into the movie. However, once we find out that Kylo is his son, and he addresses him, I was like, crap. Had they drawn that out to the end of the second, or maybe into the third movie, then maybe Kylo wouldn't have killed him. But right at the end of the first movie, I was like, oh man, Han's gonna die. I knew when he walked out there to talk to his son that he was gonna die.
I've been kind of suspicious of this death for a while now because, it's almost common knowledge, I guess, that Harrison Ford really wanted Han Solo to die in Return of the Jedi, and George Lucas shot that down. So I imagine the only way they could get him on board for this was to say, well, we're killing Han Solo. And okay, that's the way I wanted it to go anyway. Yeah. That's probably the only way they could actually get him. And the way they executed it was pretty good. It was still very heartbreaking. I'm super disappointed to see Han Solo go. I will say that if you compare the Han Solo's death from The Force Awakens to Chewbacca's death in the expanded universe, Han Solo's death comes off way better. And they dropped a moon on Chewie, and it was just kind of silly. Han Solo was murdered by his son.
Yeah, when he thought that he was bringing him home.
So the death is more tragic and more impactful, and I think that just makes it kind of overall better, although I am super disappointed. Moving on to the lightsaber duel, because it is not a Star Wars movie without a lightsaber duel, and this... I have kind of almost not really a love-hate relationship with this duel, but I have a love, but kind of feeling about this duel. Because Finn goes toe-to-toe with Kylo for too long.
Yeah, I don't, maybe if Kylo had been portrayed as playing with him, it would have worked. But it didn't feel that way. When they were fighting it seemed like they were both legit fighting. And Kylo really should have been able to take him way sooner.
Because Kylo, at the very beginning of the movie, he is able to stop a blaster bolt with the Force. He should have cut Finn in half.
Yeah. So, if they had, like I said, if they had just made him joking around about, he's playing him, I'll entertain you for a little bit.
Yeah.
It would have worked, but...
And Finn is actually able to injure Kylo.
Yeah, and that didn't seem super plausible.
Now, part 2 of the lightsaber duel, though, when Rey gets the lightsaber, I am 100% in love with this fight.
Yeah, it was executed beautifully.
And the reason the fight works so well is because earlier in the film, we get that scene where she's fighting off the 2 scavengers who are trying to steal BB, and she absolutely wipes the floor with them.
Yeah, so she knows how to fight.
She knows how to fight, and she's newly learning of her force sensitivity.
Yeah.
So she's able, she's fighting on the retreat with Kylo, and she's getting to the high ground, and she's trying to get away, and then when she fully lets the Force flow through her, then she's able to win the battle.
Yeah. But it was great because basically the first full beginning of the fight between her and Kylo, she's losing gracefully. Like, she is just very beautifully losing.
She's using the environment to her advantage.
Yeah.
And plus, Kylo needs her to locate Luke Skywalker. He is actively trying not to kill her.
Yeah. Whereas she doesn't have any such
She
qualms.
doesn't have to hold back, and he does.
Yeah.
So the fact that she is able to defeat him at the end of the battle makes 100% sense, whereas Finn going toe-to-toe with him before he gets wounded doesn't really make a whole lot of sense.
Yeah.
Okay, the dogfight over Starkiller Base. This might be my absolute favorite sequence in the movie. Just because we had kind of an ode to the trench run from episode 4, when they opened, when the bombs went off and it opened up an opening for Poe Dameron and a few others to go down that trench and blow up the super weapon. And I just really like Poe Dameron as a character, and he was heavily featured in that sequence.
Yeah.
There is a scene toward in the back half of the movie that kind of threw me off a little bit. It's the part where Rey is able to fight off Kylo's mind probe, which is totally plausible because she's coming into herself as Force sensitive, but she's able to pull off the Jedi mind trick on a stormtrooper. And I don't know, like, how did she know about Jedi mind tricks? That kind of thing? I mean, just how did she know that she could do that? It had to have been something that she heard as part of the Jedi legend at some point, I would think.
Yeah, I imagine, because she did refer to Luke Skywalker like, oh, that's a real person. I thought it was just a story. So obviously she's heard the story, so I'm assuming that the Jedi mind trick was something that was in that story.
Right. But we don't really get any insight into that. And the fact that she was able to pull it off.
Yeah. Now, it did take her a couple of tries, and I like that she wasn't able to just do it.
Yeah.
Like, it took her 3 times before it actually worked. So it just shows how strong she is in the Force.
She is apparently very, very Force sensitive. Very powerful in the Force. And speaking of Rey's strength in the Force, she has to go find Luke Skywalker. And I was convinced that as he turned around, he was going to say something like, I've been waiting for you, daughter, or something like that. Because I am convinced 100% that Rey is Luke's daughter.
I think that's totally plausible.
Okay, I want to move on to some of the plot holes, because there are a few. None of them are catastrophic.
No, I mean, they're obviously easy enough to overlook that we gave it 9.5 out of 10 stars, so.
You almost can't have a film, period, without some plot holes.
Yes.
So, the big one, or the biggest one, is the Starkiller weapon. It depletes the sun to charge, and it fired once and destroyed a planetary system, and then it had to recharge. But if it depletes the sun, how does it recharge?
Yeah, I mean, it looks like a planet. They refer to it as a planet a couple of times, but it is a ship. So I imagine that it can travel, but they didn't give the impression that there was that much time in between the first shooting of it and the second time when it's depleting the star.
That, and also Finn knows where it is, so if it had moved, how would he know where it was?
Yeah, so it has to have been like maybe this, the system it was in had 2 suns.
Which I thought the same thing, but if it did, the planet should look more like Tatooine, a desert planet, instead of a foresty, snowy planet. And the other one I want to mention is R2-D2. He's in power save mode for most of the movie, and he comes out of it toward the very, very end. And we don't really know what brought him out of it, because I don't remember there being a bit of dialogue that he could have heard that cued him that it's time to wake up. But he has the entire rest of the map, which 3PO told BB that R2 he doesn't have this information. He's not going to be able to help you. So I got to assume 3PO either didn't know that R2 had it or he was lying. But something cued R2 to wake up, and we just don't know what that was.
Yeah, I hope we do get an answer to that in the next movie or in something, maybe a deleted scene.
Like, possibly, maybe when Luke Skywalker or Rey's mother dropped her off on Jakku, maybe they had, put some kind of subdermal tracking device, and when she got within 3 meters of R2, it activated him or something like that. That's the only thing I can think of that makes any sense, because I don't remember there being any dialogue. And he's not Force sensitive, so he's a droid. He's not going to go Rey's close by and wake up.
Yeah.
And where do we go from here? What do we think episode 8 is going to be like? Okay, The Force Awakens had a lot of fan service. There was a lot of call-outs to the original trilogy, a lot of parallels in the story to the original trilogy, and I think they really had to do that because the prequels were so poorly received by people who grew up with the original trilogy. I think they had to appease those people.
So we assume that episode 8 is going to have a lot less of this because they've already done and got that out of the way.
I do think we will definitely find out that Rey is Luke's daughter and that either Luke dropped her off on Jakku or her mother did. And I think we will meet her mother.
Yeah, I think so too. And I'm right there with, I think Luke is her father.
And I think probably it was her mom who dropped her off on Jakku, probably as soon as Kylo showed signs of turning to the dark side.
Yeah.
She went, okay, I got to get my daughter out of harm's way. I know somebody on Jakku, because we don't know who she left her with.
Yeah.
So she's like, I can drop her off here, and when things blow over, I can go get her. And then things never blew over.
Who escaped Starkiller Base alive? We suspect Kylo, definitely.
Kylo definitely made it out.
Yeah, he had to. Hux, and possibly Captain Phasma, which I kind of hope. I kind of liked her. I liked the chrome stormtrooper look.
I'm like
cool.
98% sure Captain Phasma got off the planet in time because it seems like an awful waste of a character.
Yeah, like that character's got some potential.
Yeah. And it's the same thing with General Hux. He reminds me a lot of Admiral Piet, and he is just kind of the perfect Imperial or First Order or whatever you want to call him now. He was the perfect character. He was a great counterpart slash almost supervisor to Kylo Ren, and I really want to see more of that character because I just thought he was a great character. Finally, with the Starkiller Base being destroyed, I think Episode 8 is going to be kind of similar to The Empire Strikes Back in that the First Order is going to return more cruel, more brutal, and seriously out for blood. Like there is going to be, it's going to be a down episode for the heroes. Don't expect the heroes to win in the second episode.
Yeah.
Okay, I think that's pretty much it for this video. We would love to know what you guys thought of Star Wars The Force Awakens. If you've seen it, discuss it with us down in the comments. What were your favorite parts? Who are your favorite characters? Did we get something wrong? Or what are your predictions for Episode 8? All of that stuff. We want to know about it. Comments. Also, if you enjoyed this video, and we really hope you did, be sure to let us know by clicking that like button and subscribe for more reviews.
And thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you next time.